Ellon, is certainly a piece that allowed orchestras and concert promoters to really believe in solo percussion. And although Veni Veni Emmanuel isn't a concerto in the normal sense, that percussion is the kind of spine that runs through the piece. It's a fantastic piece of music, whether it's for solo percussion or otherwise. It's a great piece of music, and I think that's always what you need. You can't just have an amazing percussion part, but the orchestration is really weak. You need all of those elements to come together. So Veni Veni Emmanuel certainly was a very important piece. But of course, from that, you need to build on that. You can't just survive on one great piece of music. So for me, it was very important, to really target key composers who could give us a body of repertoire in order to sustain a career, but also to allow young players to come through and immediately say and believe that they could be soloists as well. Well, the passage I'm working on here is quite interesting because, believe it or not, all of this rhythm is in unison with the piano. So we have to be absolutely strict with the tempo. And a lot of my entrances are slightly off the beat. So there's like a little rest there. So it's not always easy to tell where that beat is. It's really important that I try to play my part as fluently and as smoothly legato as possible, so that in a way I become the pianist and the pianist becomes the percussionist. So we're almost swapping roles. Collaborations are very important, and I think they're becoming more important to me, as I'm sort of developing projects that I probably didn't really have time to develop early on. I just love the challenge of working with people whom I admire. The projects I'm involved with at the moment are really quite varied because, of course, I'm looking at a landmark birthday coming up in about a year's time, and so I'm really looking at legacy-type projects. So obviously working with composers is still a major part of what I do. I love collaborations, but collaborations with people from different art forms. For example, I'm bringing live music with a visual artist, and we're using both interior and exterior of buildings. I need to always stretch myself one way or another, and I always said in my mind that I'd never do the same thing in the same way for the next 20-odd years. I'd rather stop doing what I'm doing and do something completely different. A daily routine, I'm not sure actually if that exists. I'd probably attend to some of the administrative things first of all, quite early, maybe around 7 to 8, so that they're all cleared before the actual office starts at 9 o'clock. When I first started out as a professional musician, I was saying yes to everything because I was so keen to establish the career of a full-time solo percussionist. But of course, the interest surrounding my own personal journey in being a musician created a lot of attention, a lot of PR and so on. And I found that I couldn't handle all of that by myself. So I very quickly realised I needed my own team of people. So really this sort of independence in dealing with your own career has been extremely important to me. Thankfully, you know, I'm in a position, having worked so hard for about the first 20, 25 years or so, to now really think, well, if an invitation comes in or a project comes in, I think to myself, okay, why do I want to do that project? You know, what is it about that project that creates a difference, that captures my interest and so on. It could be performing a brand new piece of music or performing with other musicians whom you haven't performed with before, going to a place you haven't been to before. Everything needs to make a difference now. So we don't say yes to everything. We're really quite specific and quite choosy what we get involved with. We're heading to my office, and there I have 2 people as part of my team, and there's also, of course, instruments as you would expect. I have about 2,000 instruments at the moment. The long-term aim is to create a centre that would allow the instruments to be shown to the general public, but also for there to be, you know, space in order to give workshops and clinics. And so I suppose that what I have in my mind is like a performance, you know. It's bringing all of these sort of elements together to create something that is meaningful, you know, and that's really what it's about. It has to be meaningful. It has to be worthwhile for the public. I've always addressed the public, and I want them to continue having an experience that goes beyond the actual music itself. Shall we just check the letter headings?
Yes.
So we have a little look at that, and
I've got the letterhead and the comp slips.
we've got the rhythms of Evelyn Glennie there.
Yeah, that's the second draft of that one.
Yeah, the other ones are already.
I've got Evelyn and I haven't got much time with her.
These are many of the places I've performed at. It just gives a basic idea as to the territories that we've been. Well, this is the first ever drum that was given to me at the age of 12. My parents gave it to me as a Christmas present, and these are the first pair of sticks I ever had and the first practice pad. So I really treasure these because they were just so important in my growth as a player. But I mean, the collection has been going, I suppose, really from the age of 12. And you can see that, you know, everything is fairly cramped now. And because everything is a piece of art in itself. Things come in all shapes and sizes, which is really exciting. This is one of my treasured pieces in a way, and heavens above, look at the size of this mallet. This is probably the biggest mallet I have, but it's an extraordinary sound, and you feel as though it has to be struck really hard, but actually just striking it so softly, it just builds, it just sort of spreads like like a piece of, it's as though you're wearing a piece of velvet or something. It's fantastic, but it's a very, very special instrument indeed. Well, whatever next you might be saying, I mean, have a look at this. These are all sort of wrenches and, you know, actual things that you might find in your own garage. But lo and behold, I mean, it's just extraordinary, really. I just absolutely love this, and the idea that you never know quite what you have, you know, around you that actually is very musical. So this was, I think, a piece of inspiration. Upstairs is the rest of the collection, and of course the aim is to have all of these instruments viewable to the public. I first played the allophone at the opening ceremony of London 2012. And so it was a very, very special moment. I mean, look at the shape of this and the design of it. It's just so beautiful. And the... It's just fantastic and it rings forever. Just a really direct sound as well. And again, I love the fact that 1 minute you can be sitting on the floor, or you can be, you know, sitting much more formally, or standing up, crouching over, hugging an instrument, you name it, you know, they're all here really. So, you know, every time I walk in this space, I just feel really inspired. I've been doing this for so long and I still get really excited about it. What I'm looking forward to, can you believe, is that time when I really think, you know what, Evelyn, now it's time to hang up the sticks. And what happens when those sticks are hung up, that's going to be a really interesting time. And that, I think, is probably going to be one of the most creative times. Location is important to me. Most of my work is in cities and towns and so on, in busy environments. And I've, you know, I'm a country girl and I just love the open spaces. And I like space, you know, I like space whereby you can be outside, you can be unrecognised in a way. And that all helps really in the balance in what I do. My personal hopes for the future is that I believe in the power of music. I believe in the power of face-to-face communication. Of course, we're living in a world whereby technology is changing very much the way we communicate and the way we listen. And really, my hope is to find a way to continue communicating through sound, even if I'm not actually the one picking those sticks up. So that really, as far as I'm concerned, is my phase 2. You know, I'm in the second part of my life in a way, and I'm really excited by what I think I can do in order to keep that importance of communication, because that's what's going to glue the world together.